as an industry can be quite cavalier, quite slapdash with handling it with kind of numerical hygiene. Where I think you're interesting, because you're people wouldn't obviously, if you wrote down a list of the math men on the floor, people wouldn't obviously put you on that list, and yet you are, for me, one of the most extreme, because if I give you oranges, you will make statistical marmalade. You will take all of that stuff and turn it into something that's much more intense, much more focused, much more concentrated, and much more applicable. In that case to toast, but in other cases to client problems. And that's the bit that we've got to get a lot better at, because we don't have enough of those people, and they're not math men in the sense of being able to just muck about with numbers or deal with volumes of numbers, but what they are math men in the sense of people who can kind of sweat those numbers and reduce them to a clear picture that is then actable upon.
So I think the answer is math men. So I don't think that it's a choice of either or. I think it is about data. It is about understanding that data, but it's about the creativity. It's about the creativity and the insight that data gives us, but it's also about how we can use that data creatively, how we can use it in a different way that no one's ever thought about it before. And by putting it together and having the people who are completely focused on it, and then that out from it comes some brilliant possibilities, new insights, new ideas, a new way to approach a channel, new insight in terms of how you can drive your product, etc. So I think it is the mad math men.
Monsters.
Monsters even.
I guess traditionally, given the heritage of the business, it was probably dominated by more the math men. Think urban. So an entire generation of leaders, I think, within the business who were more the math men than the madmen. And the madmen were probably a sprinkling of them amongst a whole army of, if you would say, math men.
Yes.
Right. But I think the profile's clearly changed in the last few years, and it will continue to change. So, and you have two different dynamics here. So we all know that with the impact of technology and all the data that's coming through, you definitely need even more advanced math men, frankly, or people who are very savvy with technology. So you need actually more and more of that because of the complexity, I think, on that side of the business. At the same time, it's equally, like you said, the creativity and the ideas business, and it's about really trying to figure out how to make use of all the information and the technology platforms that are there. So you probably need a new breed of the madmen as well, right? Who are fairly conversant with the technology, but are not necessarily the math men, but who can think and create great stories and great ideas on all the new technology platforms. So I don't know what the gender ratio is in our industry here, or let's say in North America, but if I look around in some of the emerging markets, certainly most of Asia, especially North and East Asia, and also Russia, you find that the gender ratio is heavily skewed in our business towards women. And also what you find across most of Asia is that therefore there are more mad women than math men in the business. And I think it shows therefore in the way they work and in the way the work comes out. Because genuinely I think that women tend to be there, we all know that women are more intuitive and they're probably more creative in a field like this, which is why they dominate our industry in most of those countries.
And multitasking, it must be said.
I'm sure they are.